Hello everyone. On this video we will be dividing polynomials using long division. Okay, so before we get started we want to remember your basic long division. Okay, so for example, if you have 5,287 divided by 2, just something basic. Okay, so we know that 2 goes into 5 twice. 2 times 2 is 4. We subtract. Well, we multiply. Then we subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. Then we bring down the 2. Okay, 2 goes into 12 6 times. 2 times 6 is 12. Again, we multiply, then subtract. And then we bring down. Okay, 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, so once again, we multiply, subtract, and then again we bring down. Okay, 2 goes into 7 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. So we multiply, subtract, and then we're left with our remainder. Okay, so this tells us that 5,287 divided by 2 is equal to 2,643 and 1 over 2. 143 and 1/2. Okay, but with polynomials, we're going to leave it in that form. All right. So if you are still writing this, feel free to press pause. We're going to go ahead and move on to our first example. Okay, so what if we wanted to divide 6x to the third power minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 by x minus 2? Okay, so in other words, it would look like 6x to the third minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 divided by x minus 2. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this using the division bracket. Okay, so that's 6x to the third minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 divided by x minus 2. Okay, so we're dividing it by that entire denominator. Okay, so our goal number 1 is to get rid of this 6x to the third. Okay, so to get rid of that 6x to the third, what times x will give us 6x to the third? Well, that would be 6x squared. Okay, so now we have 6x squared times this, just like we did before. We multiply, then we subtract. So we're going to multiply 6x squared by both of those terms. So 6x squared times 6x is 6x to the third. 6x squared times negative 2 is negative 12x squared. Okay, so we multiply, then we subtract, just like the basic long division before. Okay, so 6x to the third minus, because remember you're going to distribute that negative. So 6x to the third minus 6x to the third is 0. So we got rid of that, which was our goal. Okay, so negative 19x squared, remember, you distribute this negative, this becomes plus. Negative 19x squared plus 12x is negative 7x squared. And now we bring down 16x. Okay, so you kind of see the pattern. Okay, now your goal number 2 is to get rid of 7x squared. Oh, negative 7x squared. Okay, so that means we have to find out what times negative 7x squared. What do we have to multiply by x to get that? Well, it's negative 7x. Okay, so once again, we multiply and then we subtract. So negative 7x times x gives us our negative 7x squared. Negative 7x times negative 2 is positive 14x. Okay, and we subtract. Okay, so once we distribute that negative, this becomes positive. Negative 7x squared plus 7x squared is 0, so that disappears. 16x squared, or 16x minus, because remember that negative gets distributed, minus 14x is 2x. Okay, so once again, we bring down minus 4. Okay, so now goal number 3 is to get rid of 2x. Okay, so what times x will give us 2x? Well, it's positive 2. Now we multiply 2 by both of those terms, so 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. We multiply, now we subtract 2x minus 2x, because remember you're going to distribute that to make it minus 2x is 0. And negative 4, when you distribute that, this becomes plus 4 is 0. So you have remainder as a 0. Okay, so we know that 6x to the third minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 divided by x minus 2 is equal to 6x squared minus 7x plus 2. All right, so if you are still writing, feel free to press pause, but we're going to go ahead and move on to our next example, where you want to divide 24x to the third power plus 2x squared minus 20x minus 6 by 4x plus 3. Okay, so what I want you to do is press pause and try this one on your own. All right, so I'm assuming you've paused it and you've worked it out. Okay, so remember, this is just 24x to the third plus 2x squared minus 20x minus 6 divided by 4x plus 3, which we are going to rewrite. Okay, so that becomes 24x to the third plus 2x squared minus 20x minus 6 divided by 4x plus 3. I'll give that a little more room. There we go. That looks a little better. Okay, so goal number 1, just like before, is to get rid of this 24x to the third. Okay, so what times 4x will give us 24x to the third? Well, that'd be 6x squared. Okay, so now we multiply 6x squared by both of those terms. 6x squared times 4x is 24x to the third. 6x squared times 3 is 18x squared. So we multiplied. Now we subtract. Okay, so 24x to the third minus, because remember that's distributed, minus 24x to the third is 0, so that disappears. 2x squared minus 18x squared is negative 16x squared. Okay, so now we bring down negative 20x. Oh, running out of room. Okay, so now our goal is to get rid of the negative 16x squared. What times 4x will give us negative 16x squared? It's negative 4x. Okay, so now we multiply, and then we subtract. So we multiply negative 4x times 4x is negative 16x squared. Negative 4x times 3 is negative 12x. Okay, so we multiplied, now we subtract. Don't forget your parentheses around what you're going to subtract, because it's really easy to get confused if you don't put parentheses around. Okay, so 16x squared plus 16x squared, because remember that's distributed, is 0, so that disappears. Negative 20x plus 12x is minus 8x. So we multiplied, we subtracted, now we bring down. Minus 6. Okay, so now our goal is to get rid of the minus 8x. So what times 4x will give us negative 8x? Negative 2. Okay, so now we multiply. Negative 2 times 4x is negative 8x. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. So we multiply. Now we subtract. Negative 8x plus 8x, because remember that's distributed, is 0. And negative 6 plus 6 is 0. So our remainder is 0. So this lets us know that 24x to the third plus 2x squared minus 20x minus 6 divided by 4x plus 3 is equal to 6x squared minus 4x minus 2. All right. So if you are still writing, feel free to press pause. But we're going to go ahead and do one more example. Well, not one more, but another example. All right. So what if you wanted to divide x squared plus 3x plus 5 by x plus 1? All right. So I want you to go ahead and press pause and try this one on your own. All right, so I'm assuming you've pressed pause. So let's go ahead and verify. Remember, this is just x squared plus 3x plus 5 divided by x plus 1. If you wanted to rewrite it. Okay, so we're just going to get that and rewrite it using the division bracket. So that's x squared plus 3x plus 5 divided by x plus 1. All right, so first step, get rid of this x squared. What times x will give us x squared? Well, that's x times x. Okay, so now we multiply. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is just 1x. You can put x or just 1x. Doesn't matter. Put your parentheses. So you multiply, now you subtract. X squared minus x squared, because remember that's distributed. They cancel each other out because that equals 0. 3x minus 1x is 2x. So we multiplied, we subtracted, and now we bring down. Okay. So now we want to get rid of this 2x. What times x will give us 2x? Well, plus 2. Positive 2. So now we multiply. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 1, positive 2. We multiplied. Now we subtract. 2x minus 2x is 0, so that disappears. 5 minus 2 is 3. So it's a little different than the other examples because now we have a remainder. Okay, so whenever you have a remainder, you're going to place it over the denominator. There we go. Okay, so this is how it should look. X squared plus 3x plus 5 divided by x plus 1 is going to equal x plus 2 plus 3 over x plus 1. And that is your answer. All right. So if you are still writing, feel free to press pause. But we have one more example. Okay, so one important note that we didn't have to worry about on the previous examples, but we will have to worry about on this one, is that all exponents must be written in descending order. Okay, and you're going to use 0x to the power of whatever whole number you need. Okay, so let's say if you have x to the fourth plus 3x squared plus x plus 5. You don't have an x to the third term. It went from 4 to 2. There's no x to the third term. So you rewrite it as x to the fourth plus 0x to the third. So it's kind of like just adding 0 plus 3x squared plus x plus 1. So you see the exponent, plus 5 rather. You see the exponents go 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. So the exponents have to be in descending order. They have to go down one value each time you move to the right. So x to the fourth, to the third, squared, to the first, 0. All right, so let's say, for example, you have x to the third minus 1 divided by 2x minus 1. Okay, and what I want you to do is, knowing this, I want you to try this one on your own. All right, so I'm assuming you've pressed pause and you've already solved it. So let's go ahead and verify. Okay, so first thing you should have done is your descending order exponents. Okay, so 8x to the third minus 1 should have become 8x to the third minus 0x squared minus 0x, or you can put plus, doesn't matter. I usually go with plus, minus 1. Okay, so same value, we just filled in the x squared and the x with 0. Okay, now this is the one you're going to use to divide. Okay, so you have 8x to the third plus 0x squared plus 0x minus 1 divided by 2x minus 1. Okay, and now we do the very same thing we've been doing so far. Okay, first step, get rid of that 8x to the third. Okay, so what times 2x will give us 8x to the third? 4x squared. Okay, so now we multiply and then subtract. So 4x squared times 2x is 8x to the third. 4x squared times negative 1 is negative 4x squared. Okay, so we multiply, put our parentheses there. Now we subtract. 8x to the third minus 8x to the third is 0. 0x squared, remember that's distributed, so this becomes plus 4x squared. It's 4x squared. Okay, we multiplied, we subtracted, and now we bring down our 0x. Okay, so now we get rid of this 4x squared. What times 2x will give us 4x squared. 2x plus 2x. So once again, we multiply, then we subtract. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times negative 1 is minus 2x. So we multiplied, now we subtract. Okay, so 4x squared minus 4x squared is 0, so that disappears, just like we planned. 0x plus 2x, remember that's distributed, is 2x. Okay, so we subtracted, we multiplied and subtracted, now we bring down. Okay, so last goal is to get rid of this 2x. Okay, what times 2x will give us 2x? 1. Okay, so 1 times 2x is 2x. And 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. So we multiply. Now we subtract. 2x minus 2x is 0, so that disappears. Negative 1 plus 1, remember that's distributed, is 0, so that disappears. So our remainder is 0. So we know that 8x to the third minus 1 divided by 2x minus 1 is equal to 4x squared plus 2x plus 1. And there's no remainder, but if there were a remainder here, you put that remainder over 2x minus 1. But if we put 0 over 2x minus 1, it's just 0, so we leave that there. That's your answer. All right, so hopefully this made sense, and I will see you on the next video.